Tav Samach Vav Amud Aleph will begin Samach Hey Amud Beis, 10 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Chanina bar Yosef, Rav Chia bar Abba, Rav Asi ikalulahu punda. They went and visited a certain inn, and also Nachri More the punda b'Shabbat. The owner of the inn, who was a Nachri, arrived on Shabbos. So Taisus learns in Rashi, the preferred explanation of Taisus is the case is talking as follows. The Nachri was not there Erev Shabbos. They made their own Erev. And it's going according to the shlit of Yehuda that if the Nachri is not there, they could make an Erev. So they made their own Erev. Now the Nachri, the owner came on Shabbos, so according to Taisus, the way he learns is that is mevatel the Erev. That's not mevatel the Erev. The Erev they could have made an Erev on Erev Shabbos. They did make an Erev, but the arrival of the Nachri is mevatel. Now the shaila is as follows. So, Omro Mao Lamegar Mine, can they rent the rights from the Nachri? Now the way Taisus explains is as follows. Can they rent the rights from the Nachri, and therefore the Nachri will not asr on them? However, the Erev that they made is now bought because the Nachri now has arrived. That's mevatel their Erev. So, can they rent it from the Nachri on Shabbos? Normally, you say you can rent from a Nachri. You cannot rent from a Nachri, but that's before Shabbos. But here the shaila is, can you rent it on Shabbos? Now, even if they rent from, and even if you can rent from the Nachri on Shabbos, that only removes the Nachri. However, the Erev is bought. The Erev is bottled, so how can they practically speaking carry from the inn to the Chotzer? So that is through Bittul Rishus. Then they would subsequently have to do Bittul Rishus, the Mevatel Rishus to one of them. And the Mevatel Rishus to the one, and that would enable him to carry. But you'd still need Bittul Rishus. Now, even though normally we say that if one person forgot to join the Erev, he's mevatel his rishus, and all of the rest of them can carry from their houses to the Chotzer. But that's only over there where one forgot to join the Eruv. That's not mevatel their Eruv. So if he is mevatel his rishus to them, they can carry from their house to the Chotzer. He can't, but they can. But over here, the arrival of the Nachri is mevatel the Eruv. So therefore, you would need Schiras and Bittul Rishus, and the Bittul Rishus would only help to allow that person that they're Mevatel Rishus to carry, that he could carry. So that was a shail. Seiche, do we say Seiche Kimaravda? Do we say that renting, do we compare it to making an Erev? Just like an Erev has to be made before the onset of Shabbos. Similarly, Seicher, renting from the Goy has to be done before Shabbos. Or do we say Seicher Mevatel Rishus? Or do we say no, that Seicher is similar to Mevatel Rishus, Mevatel Rishus Vafil b'Shabbos, just like Bittul Rishus could take place even on Shabbos, Seicher Vafil b'Shabbos. So that was the shaila. Could they do the schiros on Shabbos itself? He says it's motor. He says no, we shouldn't be renting it. He said, let's rely on the opinion of Chanina bar Yosef, who was the elder, and rent the rishus of the Nachri. Also, so now they asked the shaila. Then afterwards they asked the shaila from Yochanan, Amar Lahem. He said to them, Yofasisam Shizuchatam. He said it's mutter, and you did properly by renting on Shabbos from the Nachri. You acted properly. So the Nardoi looked into this and were examining this psak halacha. Mi Amar Rav Yochanan Hachi. Did Rav Yochanan say it's mutter? You can do the schiros on Shabbos. Amar Rav Yochanan Seicher Kimarav Dam. He said that Seicher is like making an Erev. We do compare it to Erev. So what does that mean? My love, Mamar mi b'ayim, av Seicher mi b'ayim. Doesn't that mean that the Schiros has to be done before Shabbos? The Gemara says no. That's not what it means, according to Rav Yochanan. It means ma ma'ariv afilu b'pachas mishava pruta. The comparison is for different halachas. Just like ma'ariv, you can make an erev and join it, even though the value of the erev is less than a pruta. Av seicher b'pachas mishava pruta. The schiras can be done with a schiras with the value of less than a pruta. Uma ma'ariv afilu schir v'le'kitoi. And just like an erev, you can make it with a schir v'le'kitoi. So someone who has an employee, the employee can join with the Erev on behalf of the owner. The employee can be the one to be mitzaref in the Erev, to join in the Erev. So he can do it on his behalf. So too, by schiras, the schir rishus, if the nochri has an employee, you can rent the rishus of the nochri from the employee. And just like Erev, if 5 people are in one chatzar, so they join in together with an Erev. Now, if they want to be ma'arav with an adjoining chatzar, you have 2 chatzeres, there is a wall, there's a window or a door between them, and they want to join one to the other, they made their Erev, all 5 together, then one of them can be ma'arav with the other chatzar, with the people in the other chatzar, and join the 2 chatzeres together. It's not necessary for all of the 5 residents of this Erev to join with all the 5 of the other. One from this chatzar can join with one of the other chatzar to merge the 2 chatzeres together so that they can carry from one to the other. So that's the comparison we make of it. So here also, just like we say, Ma'amar chamisha shruim b'chatzar achas echad marav al yidei kulan, seicha nami chamisha shruim b'chatzar achas echad seicha al yidei kulan. Same thing is similarly for schiros. This applies the same way. If you have 5 people in a chatzar, one of them can rent the rights from the nochri on behalf of all of them. So these are the comparisons that we're saying, according to Rav Yochanan, that we're comparing the schiros to the Erev, but not that the halacha that it has to be Moed Yom. Erev has to be Moed Yom, but the schiros does not have to be Moed Yom. Tell you about Rabbi Elazar, so he looked into this and he examined it. What was the reason for that? Why was he something? What was bothering him? So a great person like Reb Zera doesn't know what he was wondering about. His kasha was the halacha that Shmuel, his Rebbe, said, which does not coincide, does not stem with this. Shmuel said the following: where does bittul help? That's in a place where it's oisrin u'ma'arvin, where there's an isser, and there is an isser, you're not allowed to carry into the chaser, and you're able to make an erev. Then you can make bittul. Ma'arvin vein oisrin, but if you can make an erev, and it doesn't also, the Gemara will explain these cases. Ma'arvin vein oisrin. Oisrin vein ma'arvin or oisrin, and you can't make an erev ein mevatlin. So now the Gemara will explain what are these klalim. So coming back to the first klal, the first principle of Shmuel, kol malkam she'oisrim u'ma'arvin mevatlin. Any place where they aser on each other and they have the option, the ability to make an eruv, you can make bittul. Bittul will help. You have an option of bittul. So what's an example of that? What's the case of that? If you have 2 chatzeres, one behind the other. People in this chatzer, residents of this chatzer, residents in the outer chatzer, the inner chatzer has a right of way. They can pass through the outer chatzer to get to the street. They have a right of way over there. So therefore, their right of way asers, the inner chatzer asers on the outer chatzer. If you recall, we had a machlokes Rabbi Akiva and Rabbanan. According to the Rabbanan, that's only if the inner chatzer does not make their own eruv. Then it's a regular asura. It's a seres. According to Rabbi Akiva, even if they did make an eruv, even if it's a regular muteres b'mekayma, it's still asers. Nevertheless, you have a case over here where they aser, the inner chatzer, their right of way asers on the outer chotzer. They're oyster. They're ma'arvin. They had an option of making an eruv together before Shabbos. They could have joined together. They could have made an eruv together. If they forgot to, mivatlin. If they forgot to, then the inner chotzer can be mevatel their rishus to the outer chotzer, and therefore they can be mevatel to it, and therefore they will not aser on them. So the inner chotzer can be mevatel to the outer chotzer. So Hashem says, but it doesn't work in reverse. The outer chotzer cannot be mevatel to the inner chotzer because the outer chotzer does not aser the inner one. The inner one that has a right of way and can pass over the outer one, they have drisas aregel, they're asrin. It's a case of oisrin uma'arvin, they can make bittul, but not the other way around. So that's an example of a case of oisrin ma'arvin where bittul helps. Ma'arvin ve'ein oisrin ein mevatel. But if there's a case where they have an option to make an eruv, but if they don't make the eruv, they're not going to aser on each other, then bittul does not. You cannot make bittul. Bittul is not an option. What's an example? Okay, again, beis chatzeres or pesach echad beinayim. If we have two chatzeres, so each chatzer is independent. There is a pesach. There's a wall between, and there's a pesach. Now they don't have to make an eruv together. If they don't make an eruv, they can carry. If they make their own eruv, they can carry in their chatzer. If they make their eruv, they can carry in their chatzer. And one will not aser on the other because there is a wall. But there is an opening. They have an option of making an eruv. So it's ma'arvin. You have an option of making an eruv, but if they don't make an eruv, it's not going to aser. So in such a case, we say ein mevatlim. If they did not make an eruv together, and now it's Shabbos, and they did not make an eruv, they do not have the option of bittul. They cannot be mevatel rishus one to the other. What's the third case of Shmuel? The third principle is oisrin ve'ein ma'arvin ein mevatlin. If they would aser on each other, but you do not have the option of making an eruv, then you're not able to make bittul. So what is the case over here? Lasuya mai. What is this coming to include? Lav lasuya nochri. Isn't this coming to include a case where there's a nochri involved, that the nochri lives in the chotzer with the yidden? Now, what is the case talking? V'id also me'esmol, if the case is that the nochri was there me'esmol yesterday from before Shabbos, before the onset of Shabbos, then if that's the case, lo ger me'esmol, you have the option of renting, of being seich, of doing schiras from the nochri before Shabbos. So that can't be a case. You wouldn't call it a case of ein ma'arvin. You have the option of making an eruv. You have an option of renting from the nochri. So there is an ability to make an eruv over there. So we wouldn't call it oisrin ve'ein ma'arvin. So it must be that the case is talking not that the nochri was there yesterday, allowed also b'Shabbos. It must be that it's our case over here, that the nochri came on Shabbos. And since the nochri came on Shabbos, so Tosfos explains, so the nochri, even though they made an eruv Shabbos, the Yisrael made an eruv, but and they hold, and we hold rather, like Rabbi Yehuda, that says that so long as the nochri is not here, you have the ability to make an eruv. So they made an eruv, but nevertheless, once the nochri comes on Shabbos, he's mevatel that eruv. So that eruv doesn't exist anymore. Now you can't make an eruv anymore. That eruv is gone. You can't make an eruv on Shabbos. You can only make an eruv has to be made from the onset of Shabbos. So this is a case of talking where the nochri comes on Shabbos. It's oisrin. The eruv that the Yisraelim, the Yidden made is bottled. They aser now one on each other. Ve'ein ma'arvim, you don't have the option of making an eruv because it's Shabbos already. And it says, Uktani oisrim ve'ein ma'arvim ein mevatlim. You don't have the ability to make bittul. So therefore, in this case, under discussion, according to Shmuel, you would not be able to lemaisa to be able to carry. Shmamina, we see from over here that according to Shmuel, that the bittul will not help on Shabbos in such a case, and they see that according to Shmuel, he would disagree with Rav Yechanan's psak.